Hello and welcome to another edition of Spindle TV. How are y'all doing tonight? Cool. Hey, tonight we are streaming from a different platform. Usually I use StreamYard. And so what I need in the chat and everything, I'm using a different, I'm not using StreamYard because of the problems I've had with them the last couple of weeks, even after getting a new computer and everything. And so I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me and see me, that my screen's not flipped backwards and things like that. The one thing that I just noticed was that in my settings, the video quality, I am an idiot. I just went live before I changed my video quality from 720 to 1080. It's changing the setting is disabled while live. And I can't end the stream because it'll end the stream, right? So this is not a vital class. It's vital. It's an important class, right? But I mean, 720 should be good enough. I just literally looked up at the screen and saw 720 and I went, oh, that's brutal. All right, first time out the gate with the new software, and I forgot to set one of the settings. I said everything else. I said everything else. But the most important part, the quality of the video. So we're at 720, so it's got a little smaller, lower quality, but hopefully everything is good and everything with that. I've still got a lot of stuff to do. Literally just got finished setting everything up with this new platform. And we're going to see how well this platform does for me. Quality-wise, streaming-wise, because this new computer's firing on all cylinders. I mean, it's doing so well. But the last couple of streams I had, like the Heart Box and things like that, the streams, fell off, and it even with my paid class, it fell off last week and everything. So that being said, I'll shut up now on that part, but just as long as I see people are saying, hey, looks fine, Laney, all seems good. So that means you can hear me and see me. Wonderful. That is great. I will say this new platform has a lot more features than the StreamYard I was using. And it's going to take me a minute to get, not a minute, but it's going to take me a one or two tries to get everything like really honed in, but it's going to be so much better for me. It's going to be awesome. All right, listen, I have gotten a job coming up. I just kind of getting the shop put together. We're going to probably be out in the shop next week doing a little bit of a show and tell, carve a project, whatever the case may be. I haven't figured out that much yet, but I'm just now getting the new shop building set up. And I've got all the machines in there put together and not put together, but, organized and things like that. Still got a long way to go as far as building cabinets and storage and things like that. But my machines are functional and I can get some work done. And with that being said, I went ahead and took on a job that is going to require me to carve a project that's longer than my cutting area on my CNC. Now, I have two CNCs. I have a 24-inch by 40-inch cutting area CNC, digital wood carver 2440. And then I also have a 48-inch by 48-inch CNC, the DWC 4848 model. And I have another model CNC in the shop that is a 4x8, but it's not functional right now. There's no control box done. That's all. It's a DIY kind of project. Friend of mine's CNC, and we're getting it up and running for him. And it's going to end up being part of the shop in the production, but it's in the shop. It's just not functional. So this job that I have, that 4x8 would have kind of been perfect for it and everything. but I have the other two machines that I'm going to be using. And in particular, on this particular project, just for the purpose of the tiling and everything, because I'm going to be shooting a video at the machine of the tiling job itself and everything, and the setup and stuff. But I wanted to talk with you. I wanted to talk with you about tiling and what what it entails and what it's all about. When you have a project that's longer or wider than your particular cutting area on your CNC, tiling is the way to go. And most CNCs are passed through, meaning that the gantry is open and you either have your Y-axis or your X-axis, depending on the machine and the configuration where the operator stands. But you usually have, between the gantry arms, you have that pass through, right? So on my 4848, the user stands at the front of the machine and the gantry is a pass through on the Y-axis, because the Y-axis is always to and from the operator, right? Y positive away from the operator, Y negative to the operator. The X-axis is always to the left of the operator, X minus, and to the right of the operator, X positive. And so my 4848, I stand in the front, so my Y-axis is the pass-through. Now, my 2440, the operator stands on the side of the CNC, and the X-axis is the pass-through on that left to right. The X-axis is the open axis for the pass-through and everything. So, depending on the machine, your configuration, one of those axes, you can pass the material through. The other, you can't, because the gantry would run into it, right? And so I have a job that's going to be longer than my cutting area, and I thought, oh man, this is a perfect idea, or perfect situation to kind of discuss tiling and show the setup that I use that has been very successful for me. Super simple, straightforward, very simple, and it's been super successful for me, and I feel that on any tiling job, no matter what it is in the situation, 100%, if you take a little extra time on your setup and you are tight and right on that setup, your fence that you're referencing against, that you're sliding your material, supports that you're using to support any weight off the back side or the front side of the CNC as the material's passing through, your hold downs, all of that stuff. If your setup is tight and right, then your tile jobs are going to be successful, no matter what. 100%. That's my belief and everything. So I want to, make sure that I want to share with you my setup. And hey, you probably already do tiling. Some of you probably already do tiling and you have your setup. This is not going to be anything new for you, but for those that have never tried tiling or carving anything longer on their CNC, I think this is going to be great. Okay, so first of all, let me just give a huge shout out to all of my paid members from Spindle TV exclusive and everything. And I want to, thank you all for coming out and spending time with me and hanging out. The streaming software seems to be doing well. Normally, I have a camera 2 set up, which is my computer screen, and normally I would switch over to the computer screen and put myself in the middle, but this new software, I can just set up kind of a picture-in-picture scenario, and I can share my window. And the first window that I'm going to share with you, the first screen that I'm going to share with you, should I say, is going to be SketchUp. We're going to look at SketchUp for a minute, and let's get that there. And I love how it kind of puts me in the corner here, so I'm still there. How you doing? My other way of viewing is when I'm in the corner, it kind of gets rid of that background, so it's all clear and you can see behind me and stuff instead of this square box. We'll figure that out later, but for now, this is good. Now, very roughly, I have mocked up kind of a view of my digital woodcarver 2440 CNC machine, well, not the whole machine and all by any means, but just kind of mocked up a drawing of it and everything to talk about what I've got going on. Now, one of the things that you'll see in the window here is this yellow, what looks to be kind of a ruler, very roughly drawn, of course. But this is my favorite thing. I have no affiliation with Swanson or Johnson or anything like that, any of those companies as far as rulers and stuff like that. But from Lowe's, I went down and purchased a 48-inch metal Swanson ruler, and now Lowe's carries Johnson. I don't think they carry Swanson anymore. This ruler is the lifeblood of my tiling jobs. And let me just stop right for a second and just say, let me acknowledge something here really quickly. Tony Patterson, off topic. I like your hat. Hey, Tony, this is a Spindle TV hat. My hair is a little messy, but this is a Spindle TV hat. It's dirty, it's been through its paces, right? I wear this thing in all kinds of weather and all kinds of conditions and dirty conditions and all. But I love this hat. It is padded on the inside. It's mesh and everything. It's padded on the inside, and I love this hat so much. This is the prototype. I had the hat company send me the prototype of this hat, and I have taken this hat through its paces. I've had it for a very long time now, and I'm getting ready to order a stockpile of these to sell, right? These hats. This is top. I honestly, not just because it has my logo and stuff like that on it and the American flag, but the quality, phenomenal quality, comfortable as all be it. It's just, I love this hat. So thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for noticing. And hey, keep that in mind when I have some stock come in. It's going to be for sale at builditTV.com. I'll let everybody know. And man, that's one way you could support the channel. Buy yourself a badass hat, right? So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so now coming back to me and this topic and everything here, and hopefully you were able to see in that small corner the hat that I was showing you. I'm little on the corner there, but this Swanson ruler, 48-inch ruler, it's already got a hole like milled in the center at the top, where you hang it on like a dowel on your wall, for storage and stuff. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up making two additional holes, one in the middle and one at the other end. And those holes, slightly larger than the 1/4-20 bolt that I'm used to secure it down and everything, but everything slides right into the T-track. And what I end up doing is I'll put a pin in the router, and I will move that pin. And let me see if I can just kind of simulate this. I'm not going to try. Well, hold on a second. I can try. Let me zoom in. Let me see if I can pull this flat, because my pin is flat. And let's see. We'll just make it a little bit longer, so all of this makes sense. And what we'll do is, let me tilt out of the table here. There we go. I'm going to select this, and all of that. I'll hit G for group and create. Now I'm going to move this, and let's just move it right along here. And I want to try to simulate this, but I don't know if I can. Oops. Let me move this down. Oops. All right, now let me select this with it and move that over. Come on over. Kiss right there. Okay, so let me get out of that. So what I end up doing is the holes are slightly larger than the quarter 20 bolt that I'm using. I secure it at one end. I bring my straight pin down up against the edge, kind of secure that end down, and then I will end up traveling all the way down to the other end of the table, slide the ruler up against it, secure it down, and secure the middle bolt as well. And now I have a perfectly aligned fence, if you will, that's aligned with the travel of my CNC. And so it is, except for when I'm dragging it off the alignment, but it is aligned with the CNC, and it's ideal. So let me move this back up to here. Let me get back to this point. When I secure my material on the CNC, it's a 48-inch ruler. My table happens to be on the 2440. The table is 48 inches long. So the ruler literally goes from end to end on the table. And I end up using the 2-inch mark. That's kind of the mark that I reference the first edge of my board on. And then on my CNC, I have a waste board that has different clamping options and all. So I can clamp from both the, let's call it the right side of the ruler, and of course the left side of the board. So I can clamp on both sides of the board to get clamping and secure all the way around. And on the ruler itself, the end bolts that I have securing down, if I need the what am I trying to say? If I need to, I need clamps for those, I have an all thread bolt with a nut on it that goes through into a nut in the T-track, right? Secures that down. And then I have a little bit of a thread sticking up that I can put a small piece of wood that has a notch like a rabbit on the end of it that can hook on there, and a wing nut on top of that to secure it down, like another clamp on those 3 bolts there that are on that particular screw setup. And so I have plenty of ways of making sure that both sides of the board are clamped evenly and everything. So that's going to be critical. So your clamping, your positioning, and things like that. Now, on my particular CNC, in this particular instance, my cutting area from the front of the machine back 40 inches. That's my maximum travel. So from the front of the machine back 40 inches is the travel. Now on my particular 2440, I have what's called the joint maker jig attachment, which it shoves the gantry forward 3 inches, and it allows my router to come off the front of the table by 3 inches. And so by shifting the gantry forward that 3 inches, I lose that 3 inches on the back end, right? I'm moving that 40 inches out further. So technically, in my situation on my machine, and it's all about knowing your machine and everything, from the front of my table back 37 inches is the maximum travel I have, and then 3 inches on the front side, of course, makes 40, right? So I still have the 40 inches of travel. Nothing changes there, but I've shifted everything off the front so I can carve like dovetails, finger joints, and things like that off the front of the table. So knowing my job and my setup and my table and everything, that I have 37 inches and stuff, when I'm in Vectric and I'm creating the tiles, my tiles, I try not to run to the limit, to the 37 inches, right? So 36, is the would be technically the maximum I would go. I kind of leave an inch away from there, but I use the 2-inch mark on my ruler, right? So my maximum travel is 37 inches from the front of the table. I'm burying 2 of those inches, right? So since I'm burying those 2 inches, which I don't have to, but it's just the way I have a 90-degree kind of fence as well. It doesn't go, it's what is that, perpendicular? Hold on. Parallel parking, yeah, it's perpendicular on the table. So the parallel parking, it is I have another fence that's kind of perpendicular. It creates kind of a 90, and when I'm tiling, I take that fence off because the board has to be able to pass through, right? But it's always just been in my mind where that position is, and it happens to be at the 2-inch off the front, right? So I kind of just I have that position, and the reason why it's important for me to kind of maintain that and everything is because on my machine, most 2440s don't come with limit switches and homing positions and things like that, but it is something that can be added to the machine. So I have limit switches on my CNC. I home my machine, and that particular position on the table, that reference point here, the edge of the ruler here, I can set that up as my datum position, and I can reference that from, after I home the machine, I can tell it to move to that point, and I'm there. So it's just a known number in my head. It's consistent for me. It doesn't change. It doesn't vary. And that's the key for me, is find a system that works, find a setup that works for you. Stick with your guns, man. Stick to that setup. Make that setup work for your jobs and stuff, whatever it is. In this case, for my tiling jobs, and nothing changes. So nothing unexpected could happen, or nothing out of the ordinary, or I don't have to sit there and try to figure out what in the world went wrong and try to, troubleshoot and things like that. So I know my setup. I know my datum position. I know everything about the machine and stuff, and what the limits are and what my cutting distances and everything. And that way, if something does screw up, it's easy for me to kind of reverse engineer, deduce, however you want to say it, but get to the problem quickly, or figure it out, whatever it may be. Did I get hung up somewhere? Did something happen? It wasn't this, it wasn't that. I'm not hitting my limits, that kind of thing. If something goes wrong, but knock on wood, I don't have any. Oh my gosh, I don't have any wood around. Oh, I do. Knock on wood. I don't know if I should say this. I might jinx myself, but I never have a problem. It's always perfect, because I spend a lot of time making sure my setup is perfect. I want results. I don't mind putting that little extra time in to make sure that I get those results every single time. All right. So my 2-inch mark is where I start. That's where I start. And so from there, now I have 35 inches of travel, right? Till I crash out, basically, right? 37 inches is my maximum travel, because remember, 3 inches is off the front of the table. So 37 inches is the front. I'm burying 2 of those inches. So 35 inches is, I'm hitting the limit. It's not 35 and an eighth or 35 and a 16th. It's 35. And I've crashed my machine, right? Hey, Jim, thanks for jumping in, and I appreciate you. coming in late and everything. Haven't missed much other than me rambling, talking about my setup and stuff like that. So 35 limit, boom, dead, right? I want to stay off at least an inch off my limit. I like my cushion. I like my cushion, right? So 35 minus that inch, 34, that would be the maximum tile I would set, period. Depends on my job. My tiles sometimes might be, 24-inch tiles because of the job itself or whatever the situation. It could be 30-inch tiles or this and that. But the maximum tile, my maximum tile is 34. No more, no less. Don't go past 34. Anything from there to 34 is fine for me, right? So that is a long-winded explanation of how I determine what my tile lengths are going to be, and or what, in this case, what the longest tile length is going to be, right? That don't go past 34 on my setting my tiles. Make whatever, if it's 30, 31, 32, 24, whatever it is, make it work for the job, to minimize my tiles, of course, but also for the setup in general. So this Swanson ruler, $9.90 something cents or whatever at Lowe's plus tax, and everything. And it has one job. It's my fence for my tile jobs. When it's not the 3 bolts stay in, it slides off the table, it hangs up and all that. But that's when I'm ready to do a tile job, it goes on the table, it gets aligned, secured down. It's my fence for my tile jobs, and it's a perfect fence. It's low profile. It's about an 1/8 inch thick. It's a good width. I think it's about 2 1/8. I can't remember off the top. It's 2 inches at least. It's it's a wide ruler, and it is again low profile, straight as all be it. I made sure it's straight, very straight, good reference and everything, and that's my job. So I spent $9.90 something cents plus tax at Lowe's for a tool accessory, let's call it an accessory, for my CNC that helps me when I do my tile jobs and everything like that. Now, that being said, I have a 48/48 and everything, and so larger jobs can go on that. I could tile with the 48/48 up to 2 or 3 days ago before I moved the 48/48 into the new building. The 48/48, 4 foot by 4 foot, was in my other first building. It was in the kind of, let's call it the middle of the floor, right? I could open up the bay doors on the front. I've got 24 feet, not counting the 5 or 6 feet of the machine, right? I've got that much room behind me and I could pass through right on that 48/48, any bigger jobs that I had and everything. And my 24/40 was back in against the corner in the wall, and it didn't do a lot of tiling. And if I did, it would move out to the floor. But before I got the 48/48 not too long ago, my 24/40 was my tile job, all my tiling and everything, all my signs. I had to tile my big signs. I had to cut the panels in half and do all the tiling and stuff on this machine. And so that's why I have this set up, and it's phenomenal. So things happened. It got put into a corner. 48/48 became my, kind of open floor. Now it's kind of roles reversed in the new building. The 48/48 is up against a wall. There's no pass through. There's no tiling on it because it's like literally right up against the side wall and everything. So I'm not going to be able to pass through. So my 24/40 has now become, it's on the middle of the floor, and its pass through ability has made me where this job that I took on is the tiling job. So that's why long-winded. That's why we're back here, and that's why we're not using the bigger machine. That's why we're using the 24/40. And also it gives me a chance to make a video of the actual tile job, how to tile, showing the carving and everything and all that stuff. which is going to be phenomenal for digital woodcarver customers to be able to review, but also other people too. All right, so that's my setup and that's my pass through and everything. Now let's jump over to the Vectric software and create the design, set up the tiles, and go from there. Hey, DC Custom Crafts, thanks for popping in. Really appreciate you. And all of you, ladies and gentlemen, thanks, man. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Did I miss something last night? Keith Kessler, you did not miss anything last night, bud. We did not have a Spindle TV exclusive members class last night. It's kind of tonight with everybody, so hopefully a lot of the members have joined tonight and everything. We're gonna have a private class next week, and one of the main reasons, Keith, and Keith, I know you. You are a dog guy, and so I think you will appreciate this very much. Let me see where we are here. We're getting ready to switch over to Vectric, but before I do, let me share another screen with you all. Same screen, but now I can open up images and everything. Let's see if I can get both of these to open up on this computer in different positions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Lainey, spelled differently, Laynie. Lainey is a new member of the family, and so we were getting acquainted with her yesterday, and it kind of took me away from class and all. So this is Lainey. She is got some husky in her. She's a bit of a mixed breed, big old girl. But I'll know more about her genealogy and everything in the next upcoming weeks as I take her over to my vet. And we'll do a little 23andMe for dogs. See if we can, see what all she's made up of. Beautiful big old dog. But Keith, I know you're a dog guy, and also I'm sure you can understand that we are. That's what took me away from class yesterday. All right, let's go ahead and get into our Vectric Aspire here. Now, the one thing I will say that is going to be a little bit disappointing to you all tonight is because I only set the quality to 720p, some of the text on the screen, and everything and in the window, it might be a little bit fuzzy. Not as clear as if it was 1080p or 4K, because I can stream in 4K too, but I don't think everybody's got 4K yet. But so some of the words and all might be a little blurry. It's not necessarily going to be your screen. You can just turn it up, the quality up on your YouTube, but I'm only streaming at 720p because I hit start before I change the setting, and it won't let me go back and change it after start. Again, we're not streaming with StreamYard anymore. It's a new platform, and so it took a little bit. Let me see here. I want to replace screen sharing with the Aspire window. There we go. And I know it's going to be a little bit blurry, but we'll see what we have going on. Okay, so yeah, love the dog. Thank you, and thanks, Fozzie Bear. She is a beauty. She's got She's laying down and being very well behaved right now, but she has separation anxiety. She's a rescue and stuff like that, but she's got separation anxiety, and I'm learning today what that means. And but she's doing very, very well. We're training with our time distances apart and all that stuff, and she's getting rewarded for behaving as our time apart spans. The last previous owner that turned her in, evidently, she jumped through a window while the window was still closed. So but she's doing very well. She's right at the door sleeping, but she's got me within eyesight, but she's passed out. She's not. Huskies are very vocal, not barking. She doesn't bark, knock on wood, but she's the whimpering and whining when she's anxious. So she's being very well. I told her I have a class tonight. Let me get through it, and we'll go hang out in the yard. Okay, so let's talk about the job that I have tonight in Vetric Aspire. And again, I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for the quality. Like I said, some of your text is going to be blurry. My fault. I hit the wrong setting. I do apologize. That won't happen again. It'll be a nice and clear and beautiful, crisp and everything next week. I'm really liking this new platform so far up to this moment. This is the first time using it. So we are 36 minutes in, and I'm loving it. I like all the features and stuff, but I didn't hit that setting right. All right, so since my x-axis on the 2440 is the long axis, this is going to be a single-sided job. It's going to be a long, kind of a big sign that's going to hang between two pillars for a charter, a fishing charter. It's kind of almost... not almost. When you go into the, let's call it a shipping yard, the yard and everything, the fence post comes up, and then there's a long sign there and everything. And so the sign itself is going to be, I think it is 6 foot long. And so let's go 6 foot and hit equals 72 inches. Apostrophe represents feet. So I typed in 6 and apostrophe, and I hit the equal sign, and it converted it to inches, right? So the sign itself, it is going to be what am I trying to say? 2 1x12s together, which is 11 1/4 and 11 1/4, right? So that's going to be 22 1/2, basically. And so remember, 1x12 is 11 1/4, and so they're going to be glued together. Now, keep this in mind. I've got to do some straight edge kind of milling, joinery, if you will, and assembly and everything. So the I'm going to be taking at least 1/4 of an inch off on each edge of the board. Probably a 1/4 might be a little excessive, but that's what I'm rounding to, is 1/4. So it's going to be a 22-inch wide board, and it's just going to be 3/4. This is going to be a white oak, and it's going to be very, white oak is what they make, used to make ships and everything from. It's very weather hardy, if you will. I don't know. I don't want to say the word resistant, but it can pretty well hold up to the elements and things like that. It's right on the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know if it's officially changed the name yet, but it's right on the Gulf, and right in a town called Crystal River, Florida. So there's saltwater air coming in and everything. But the white oak should be doing well. Ronnie Probert, great question. Lenny, are you installing the sign? No. The guys are going to be coming over in their truck and trailer. They'll pick it up, and they've got John has got his boys are going to hang it and everything. I'm just going to make sure that it's ready to go. Now we'll probably do, there's going to be eyelets, screwed into it, and it's going to hang from chains and stuff, I'm assuming. But the poles that they're hanging on, basically they've got their fence, right? Their entry, like I said, the entry and everything. And then from the entry, it's almost kind of like, it's not 4x4. What's the next size up on a 4x4? 4x6 cedar post, it looks to be. And then there are two, I want to say they are 2.5-inch diameter steel pipes that go up, and it has a welded steel pipe that kind of comes like angled up and then straight across at the top, like a kind of a support brace, and then another one that's going to hang from the lower part of that and everything. So it has white oak, and I'm going to use probably a spar varnish, or something that can definitely handle the conditions. I'm not a finish guy. Finishing is not my forte. So, but we'll use a kind of a spar varnish, marine varnish, to clear it up. And yeah, Ronnie, we can do that for sure. Can post it in the groups and everything. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go, I am going to reference off the material surface for this, for this job, and it's always on a tile job, bottom left corner. Vectric kind of requires it. So bottom left corner, and we're going to go with a very high resolution. There's not going to be any model carve on this or anything like that. No 3D model. It's all going to be kind of like V carve, raised and stuff. So pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and click OK. Awesome. And let's make sure that we have everything's everything. All right, so now we have let me find it. We have a graphic that's going to be carved in with the text. Let me locate their size, large. Crystal River. Give me just a second. I thought I had all my resources all together and ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, hang tight for just a moment. All right, so now I do not I do not. Give me a second. Come on. I just switched over to this new computer, so give me a second. It's playing havoc on me trying to find everything. Okay, so I got to click here. Go here. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. All right, so now let me get it over onto Innovetric. Okay, sorry about that. That was a terrible delay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, terrible delay. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get back. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we're going to go in and we're going to import the image. All right, when you're tracing an image and everything, I'd love to, it would have had to have been a vector, but they, this is their sign for this, not their logo or anything like that. This is just a sign that they picked out. It's going to be kind of right on their entry and all. So the image, when you're tracing an image or trace bitmap, for me and the trace bitmap tool, I don't care what the image is and everything. Me personally, I always convert it to a black and white. And my threshold is 0 to 75, but my go-to is 75. So when I switch to a black and white, I immediately switch over and slide over to 75. Anything beyond that, unless it's a really good, high-quality image and everything beyond that kind of starts to pick up noise and all. 75 is my cutoff. Default corner fit, I don't ever vary. I'm not wasn't supposed to be in that sentence. I'm an advocate of the default corner fit. I think that the default corner fit that Vectric had their act together when they created the software, and that 82% is bang on perfect as far as the right type of line contours and everything like that. I think they got it right. I have never, very rarely ever needed to go off that default corner fit. Now, what the corner fit is on the inside and outside corners when it draws the lines and everything. If the corner fit is too tight, the lines are very stiff and rigid. There's no real flow or curve to them. They're just kind of stiff and rigid. If the lines are too loose, they got flow and curve, but it could be a little bit sloppy. That default corner fit, 82%, has the right kind of contour and when it needs to be, and the right type of straight when it needs to be, and it's a all around. And I'm looking up here at the screen at the design. I should be looking right there at Vectric or at you right when I'm talking to you, but it is, for me, default corner fit. If you're just now new to Vectric and you're tracing images and stuff, stick with that default corner fit for a while. It will do you well. Now, noise filter is another story. Now, this is not the greatest quality of images and everything. So the noise filter, I'm actually going to bump that up to 4. Default is 2. I'm going to go to 4. And when it comes to tracing and everything, the higher the noise filter, the more trash, if there is any trash and everything to pick up. Wasn't a whole lot of trash in this one, so 2 to 4 is good, but 4 would be kind of my go-to for that. And then bitmap fading only fades. I don't have the image on right now, but it just fades the image in and out. So let's go ahead and get this sized up to, oops, get this sized up. And it's a small image right now. We're going to go probably 16 inches. And it's going to actually be mirrored. Mirror tool. It's going to get flipped, not on the job center. I'm not making a mirror copy, just flipping it horizontal. They do grouper and red fishing charters. I love grouper fishing and all. Love red fishing too. Red fishing are very excited. This is just kind of a red drumfield redfish. But it is, they liked it on the choices, you know, that they had and stuff like that. I would have opted for Crystal River, John, if you're watching. I would have opted for a better quality image. Just kidding. It'll be all right. We'll make it work. We'll make it look good. All right, now, very important. Let's get their name correct. All right, let's get over here. All right, this is going to be, oh, don't do that. Delete, delete, delete. When you are this new text tool on version 12, I keep forgetting. It's default set to text in a box. In this case, I need text. I don't want text in a box. I want text. I want to be able to determine or set the size and everything myself, and all. And the font, I get to choose the font on that, and the font that I let's go to word mark. Oh wait, am I sure? You might you're not going to be able to see word mark. The font that we are going to be using is a Rockwell. And let's go bigger, go home. .75-inch tall text. Now, on this, I'm going to break this up into 2 separate lines instead of 1 line because I want to make some change. Crystal River is going to be in the Crystal River Charters is going to be in the Rockwell Bowl, but I'm going to kind of skew it just a little bit, and so we're going to go right click, text, break block into lines, and now I have 2 separate lines here. This is going to go here. And hold on a second. I almost forgot the most important part. Give me just a moment. Crystal River. Give me just a moment. Charters. almost almost screwed the whole thing up. Crystal River, Florida fishing charters. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. Like the let me undo that real quick. Almost screwed up. Crystal River, Florida. Jesus, I missed the whole name. Fishing. There we go. All right, now the this is too big over here, but this is now going to get broken up into two lines. Let's do that again. Text, break block into lines. This is going to get here and centered left to right. Our red fish is going to sit just right below it. We'll blend this line right into the A there, but it sits right on the edge there like that. Yep. And then this gets shortened a little bit. I need to align this with this on the left side. So select fishing charters first, Crystal River last, and align to that inside left edge. You could also, do outside right edge, but it aligns the whole thing. We don't want that. We want inside left edge. So that puts these two, it should put these two in line with one another, right? Right there. All right, cool. And good. Now there is I'm going to use a rectangle because we're going to be doing a V carve. So I'm going to use a rectangle, but there is a line here. It's not a line, it's a rectangle because I'm going to be V carving. So I need two lines. So it's going to be a rectangle. And it's going to have a height of 3/8 inches tall. It is supposed to end right in the middle of the O. Give me a second. I'm going to take a guideline. Line it to the center of the O. And this will end there. And just a nice little line. And then back to our text. We're going to go, we're not using a Rockwell for the next text. It's going to be a Calibri. It's going to be 1.875 inches tall. Make sure that I got all right. Professional. There's too many S's in professional. Professional. GUI. Oh. All right, almost done. Then we can get to the actual tile part. this. Hold down the shift key, select that line. Oops, close your text tool first. Hold down the shift key. Did I stretch that? I did stretch that. Hold down the shift key, select the line, align to center of the last item in the selection. This should have a text height of 1.875. Go. Okay, and it needs to be, this line needs to be a certain distance from the bottom of the letters. I'm drawing the line straight down. I should be able to type in 1 and hit enter, and it lock in at that 1 inch. And then this gets moved to there. And then I can use that same line on the bottom. Man, I was close. Snap that. Now realign it to the center because I think it shifted just a little bit. Align left and right. If it did, I can't notice it move. All right. That is it. Lots of dead space here. You don't have to try to fill every space. That's what I told them, blah, blah, blah. But if they, when they see this in its final stage or whatever, if they decide they want something else there or whatever, there's plenty of room to do something with. But right now, there is no plans for anything right here, down here or anything like that. This is it. That's it. So first thing I have to do is convert the text to curves. And then I need to connect these two pieces together right here. It's important. The text is going to be raised. Everything is going to be raised. So I need to add an additional boundary around the red. Yes. I need to offset on the red. I need to offset because that line is going to get carved. That line, the router bit's carving in between that line. And it's carving it's raised. It is it is yeah, I have to offset outward. So let me select this, offset or ungroup, losing my mind, select that outside line only and offset outward. And I'm just going to go, this is, I got to think in large scale. It's not like a little sign here. Just going to go either an 1/8 or 3/16. Let me look at an 1/8. Uh, 0.1. Okay, so that's that. And now I'll give me a second to weld that together. The most critical part for the raised text, ladies and gentlemen, is the Border, the boundary, right? So I got to get that in there. Now for the boundary, I'm going to take my x-axis and divide it by 2. It equals. I'm going to take my y-axis and divide that by 2. What that does, and hit equals. Oops. I got to divide it by 2 first. 2 equals. What that does is I'm starting in the bottom left corner, so I need to find the center of the board. And on the center of the board, I am on the center of the board. I'm taking my whole x-axis, dividing it by 2, taking my whole y-axis, dividing it by 2, right? Find that center. And then that's my anchor point. Very important, anchor point, ladies and gentlemen. I could set any of these 4 corners for the anchor point, but I want the center of the rectangle to be at the center of the board, right? So I'm center, and then 36 and 11 is that. This is just a straight frame boundary, and the we are going. It's going to be 1 1/4 inches all the way around. So we're going to take 1 1/4 inches on the left and the 1 1/4 inches on the right. That's 2.5. Same thing, 2.5 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 2.5. So x minus 2.5 equals y minus 2.5 equals. All right, so basically taking that x-axis overall length of 72 inches, minusing 2.5 inches from that gives me that 1 1/4 inch offset on each end. Same thing for the 22 inches. Okay, create. And the rod, it's got to look like it's into the frame, so that's perfect. That's great. That laid out just good. Wonderful. Okay. Let's take a look at what things look like. No welding or nothing on the text, right? I need to see what's cutting into what to determine what I need to do with my fishing line in the A, border, and the, let's call it the rod. So whenever I have a job like this, let me turn the guidelines off. I always just do a generic toolpath just to see all my errors, issues, and all to point me in the right direction. So we're going to go V-carve toolpath. This is going to be raised. The letters and everything are going to be raised. It's going to be 3/16 of an inch deep. So 0.1875 is going to be the flat depth. We're going to be using, I'm using a 60-degree V-bit. We're going to have some fairly light angle on the walls and everything. And we're going to be using a combination of a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and an 1/8 inch for the flat area clearance tool. So 60-degree V-bit is going to be the main tool. And the clearance tool, we're going to have a combination of a 1/2 inch end mill. We're going to have that's good enough, 1/4 inch end mill. I got to remember I'm on my 2440. And we're going to have an 1/8 inch to get into all the little nooks and crannies. Okay. All right. So now I want to cut with the grain. So I want to make sure it's a raster. I do not want these bits going round and around and around. Now the smaller bits, the finished bits, the ones that are cleaning up where the 1/2 inch bit can't fit, the 1/4 inch is going to go in there and clean up where the 1/2 inch couldn't fit. And then where the 1/4 inch couldn't fit, the 1/8 inch bit is going to go in and clean up. and get where it couldn't fit. And then from there, the V bit is going to do wherever the 1/8 inch bit. So it's going to be kind of a progression coming down. The first bit and everything is going to be a raster. And then the other 2 bits are going to somewhat follow suit. But since they're cleanup bits, there is going to, instead of the toolpath going with the grain back and forth, it is going to have kind of a bit of an offset in certain areas where it goes around the object to clean it up. But that first tool, I want to set that as a raster cut, cutting with the grain. All right, this is going to be crystal river sign. And this is my sample toolpath, so I'll end up cleaning up my vectors and then I'll refinish it, but we'll just leave that just like that for now. And we're going to hit calculate. Now, I know that there's overlaps and intersections. I got an overlap on my A and I got an overlap on my border. I know that. So I'm going to hit continue anyway. Now, sometimes Vectric just won't create the toolpath in those areas and stuff like that. Like, for instance, the A is missing right now, right on this because of that overlap and everything. I'm aware of that. This, again, that we're not running this toolpath. This is just for me to see what the heck's going on and what I need to fix and clean up and all that stuff, right? It's just a preview for me. It's just a preview. It tells me where I need what stuff. Instead of guessing what I need to do, it tells me, it shows me, you know, where my areas are and what I need to fix. What should be important for me here is to realize is this inside of the line right here, that needs to be carved away. This fishing line, when I offset that, remember that 0.1 offset on the outside, I need to do a 0.1 offset on the inside here, because that area right in there that's not getting milled away, that's got to go. It's got to go to the background. Okay, so that's got to go. So that right there, just in this visual, and I know it's hard to see with all the reds and blues and everything, but number one, the overlap, my A, the outside of the A is not really getting carved. You can see the difference between the A and the D because of that overlap. But also I can see all the wood right here is not getting milled away. That's got to go because the fishing line is just going to be a symbol line, and that's all going to be background, right? So the background is, you know, 3/16 inch back. So we got to get a line in there, and then we'll have to fix up the bowder here. Let's just preview it now. This is, again, knowing that it's wrong, right? Knowing that it's wrong and everything. All right, so the first thing that I can see is we know about the A. The A didn't carve, but first thing I can see is my resolution quality is really low. So I'm going to go to my toolpath and my preview simulation quality, and I'm going to turn that up to maximum. In my case, maximum right now. We're going to preview that again. It was really pixelated. I couldn't see crap. Couldn't see what was what. So we're going to be maximum resolution. Love this new computer. No slowdowns and everything. Last week, man, I was so mad. The stream, I had the new first time. Was it last week or the week before, ladies and gentlemen, that were following along with me? But just got the new computer set up. Everything was just going great. And then the stream canceled halfway through. And then in a private class, it did it again. And I thought, oh, no. That's not it didn't cut out like it wasn't streaming. It was streaming. It was streaming. It was cruising along. Excuse me. And so I thought, well, my relationship with StreamYard is about to be over, and it is. It's over. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing and everything. For the Fishing Charter Professional, that's all normal. That's exactly what I want and everything. There is it's going to be raised and stuff. I had talked to them about adding a texture in the background, like a chunk kind of texture using a ball nose bit and everything. But it would have taken this sign on this machine, it would take forever. I can't penalize them for that, or, you know, as far as the billing and stuff like that, but it was just going to take it a little bit out of range, and also they're okay with no texture in the background and all that stuff. Because I told him, I said, man, I could make the texture look like water where the fish is jumping out of water besides this little splash and that kind of thing. We could make the texture look like a windy day on the Gulf. You know, I can really do it up nice and everything. And they're like, nah. we want the sign, but we don't want to spend too much on it. That kind of thing. All right, so the fishes, when I hit this with the black, right? This is what I want to see here. I'm going to fill it in with black. This is my visual, right? This tells me kind of what I need to see and what I need to know. So we know the A is missing. That's because of the overlap and all that. So ignore the A for right now. The Crystal River, did I spell everything right? Florida Fishing Charters. Yes, everything is spelled correctly. So spell check is good. The fish is correct. The line here, the line on the fishing line and the lure should be solid. More so, should be solid more so than hollow. And it should, technically what's happening is, because of that offset I created, it is the black area, the black paint is representing the line and the lure is the black. So it is solid. If I was looking at this unpainted or anything, I would say, okay, why is it hollow here? This should be one continuous line and everything. But the way the vector is, now we're going to correct it. We're going to change it up. But the way the vector is, when you're V carving something and everything, it is carving between the two lines. So that carving, the black fill here, we turn off the color, the bit did in fact cut between the two lines, right? So that's representing the fishing line. That one little single strip that's, you know, carved right there is the fishing line and the fishing lure. And if I were painting it and everything is black, the fishing lure is, you know, black and the line is black, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is, it's a little bit different. I'm doing a raised and I have to do this offset that creates kind of this island, right, that everything gets carved on. And since there's an island there, and what I mean by island, let me turn this on its side here, is there is, think of a platform. So this is a platform and then the string is getting carved in, or the line, fishing line is getting carved in that platform, right? Well, in this particular situation, since the line is, the line, I kind of want the platform right here to be the line is what I'm trying to say. I want the platform to be the line. I don't want there to be a V carve in the middle of it. And I want the lure to be solid as well too, right? So all I have to do is, from looking at this, is I just need to remove the vector in the middle that kind of represents line and just have the offset that was created carve that line through. So when we look at the 2D view, what we're seeing is this vector right here in the middle doesn't need to be selected, but it is cut off here. So I need to connect this vector from here to here to close that off. And then I need to close off kind of a line. And then I can get, you know, I can not select that, right? And so same thing in here, this single line right here needs to, I just need to carve around in here and in here. So the reason why this looks like a single line instead of a double line is because that's the double line. That's the other line. I'm missing that inside line on the around the fin, and that's why it's solid here and not milled away, right? So let me fix that first. I'm not going to do any trimming on the A until I have all my vectors correct. Then I'll trim what I need to trim. So here I need to select this vector just like it is, and I need to offset it inward, and I'm going to go the same distance, 0.1. That should give me that same distance as that, 0.1. Okay. And then when I'm carving it all, we're going to be selecting this and this. That's going to, this whole big white area, that's going to represent the line. This is going to go, these two lines are going to go away. So at the fish right here, it needs to connect there as well. And that line needs to be kind of a separate thing. So let me just verify that two lines go all the way around. Two lines. And then I need to cut it off right here. This rod is going to stay like it is. So here, kind of where the rod ends and the line starts, I'll end up connecting this and I'll have a separation. All right, so let's do that so it makes sense of what I'm saying. So in node editing, we're going to go to node editing. And here, I'm going to cut the vector here and here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this span that's right here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that span right there. And on this node, I'm going to kind of pull it back a little bit. Not much, just a little. I'll pull this up a little. All right, these 2 points are going to connect with a straight line. So join with a straight line to close that back off. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Join with a straight line to close that off, right? Now, I want, let's kind of somewhat create that. You're not, it's going to be insignificant and everything, but I want too big of a gap. All right, so now here when I'm carving this, we're not going to have, I won't delete it right now, but we're not going to have that selected. So that's going to be turned off. Okay. Now we're going to come up here. Same thing, node editing. We're going to come here and I'll do it back here because I'm going to end up just getting rid of this curve. But let's go right about here. Cut the vector there. And on this kind of, let's call it a corner, cut the vector. I'm going to delete this span right here. And I'm going to delete this span and this span. Okay. Now these two vectors, it is technically kind of a little bit of a curve. It doesn't, versus a straight line, but it's such a small area. I could almost join with a straight line. But this vector and this vector here, these two are going to join with a straight line. And then let me actually pull this up just a little bit. And then these two will join in a straight line. Now, notice when I select this, right? If I try to include this in it, let's say, and select this, if I hit join with a straight line, all it's going to do is try to find the, I want to say, I don't know this for sure, but it finds the closest point of intersection. And so for me, that's good. And I would say that if I rotated this 90 degrees, this is actually the shorter point. So it finding that point from there to there is perfect for me. I'm happy with that. I don't know what makes the algorithm do that, why it chose to close off here versus this way, but I'm glad it did because that's what I want it to do, right? So when I hit join with a straight line, in this case, it's not going to be straight. I'm going to do a smooth curve. That's going to kind of connect that together with a little bit of a curve there, right? Now on this, I want the line to somewhat follow the curve. So I'm going to take this guy and kind of bring him down. Oops. To kind of create almost kind of like a consistent width, right? Consistent width, if you will. Okay. Now I got to go all the way over to the end of the rainbow here to this side. Same scenario. Cut the vector. Cut the vector. Now, by the way, the whole point I was making about as far as the short distances, if by chance I would have said join with a straight line, it would have connected the two obvious points, you know, that was coming down and not the ones that it did, which again was good for me. I would join with a straight line, or join would not have been the option I would have chose. I would have simply just drawn a line from point A to point B to connect them together, right? That was the ending of that point, that whole point. Okay, so in node editing, I believe I cut that vector already. Let me see if I did. I did. Yep. So I'm going to pull this back and pull that back. Now, join with a straight line. Oops, that was a smooth curve. Sorry. Join with a straight line. And then I'm going to take this and join with a smooth curve. And I'm going to fix the curve a little bit, right? So doesn't need to be so dramatic on the curve. Just a nice flow there. And somewhat decent space there. So I'm kind of good with that. It's again, it's so insignificant. These figure eights, by the way, this is trash. This is the noise filter, right? So had I turned the noise filter up a little bit, these figure eights would not be here. These are the problem children. When the software says, hey, you know, you've got some overlaps and intersections and everything, that's this, right? So this is pixels, overlapping pixels, trash. And if you have a square pixel, 99, my opinion, 99.5% of the time, it's trash also, right? Your design has contour and shape and curves to it and everything. And if we are coming through here and right in the middle of these nice contours and curves and all, we have this square pixel, that's trash. Get rid of it, right? My opinion, that's what I would recommend. So here, figure eights, I call them figure eights, but gone, right? All these square pixels, gone, right? So come here, figure eight and square pixel, gone, right? That kind of thing. The square pixel right there, that's trash. Now, had I turned my noise filter up when I traced the image, it would have ignored all of that. See, odd man out, right? So I got this water splash, and all of a sudden there's just square pixel right in the middle of it and everything. It's trash. Get rid of it, right? But had I turned my noise filter up, it would have ignored most of that. So we're going to get rid of this and these figure eights here. Okay. All right. I am good with that. Everything looks shapely. Okay. So I've isolated this. Oh, let me get a node edit mode. I've isolated that vector. I've isolated that vector. They're not going to be selected in my next toolpath simulation here. All right, so done and done. Now I need this one right here. So come over here to the tail, rinse and repeat, node editing, cut the vector. I'm going to come back here and cut the vector here. Actually, I'm going to back up a little bit right there and cut the vector. I'm going to delete this span there and there. I'm going to delete that span. Okay. Join with a straight line to close that off. I'm going to actually pull this one back just a little bit. And then join with, and again, it could be a straight line. It's such a short area, but I'll just do a smooth curve. Join with a smooth curve. So it'll just create kind of an organic curve a little bit there. Okay, on that tail. All right, again, don't want a big gap right here. Let me pull this out, try to stay consistent with my thought process and everything. All right, now, right here, I just want that fishing line to stop here. Kind of at the end of this pole, let's call that the end of the pole right there. the line again is gonna, for me, the line is gonna be this wide area right here, that island and everything, because it's such a big sign. All that's what I want. It's what I want. It's what I think will, you know, it's what I want, right? So should be what the customer wants, but I think this will look better. I could be wrong. All right, let's cut the vector there, and let's cut it here. Okay, now I'm going to pull this back just a little bit right here and here. I'm going to join that with a straight line, and then I'm also going to join this with a smooth curve. Okay, close that off. There's another square pixel hiding right there. Delete, and there's one. These three, that's kind of representing the. It's like a little shadow on the pole. I am going to, let me see what that looks like in the carve here. Okay, I'm going to redraw that really quickly. So I'm actually going to use a, what am I going to use? Let's go with an arc tool, draw an arc. I'll pick right here, point A. I'll pick up here, point B. And let's pull that arc kind of, let's go somewhere right about here. It's not really an arc. It's more of a Bezier curve. So let's go to node editing and let's make that a Bezier curve. Okay, so I'm going to insert a point right here, and let's pull this down. Pull that down to there. I'm going to pull this down to here. Okay, now I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to drag, drag a copy of this up to here. Go back into node editing on this, and I'm going to insert a point right here and kind of pull that up to there. Get that to flow kind of like that. I'm gonna, it's hard to see with all those other vectors behind it and everything. Don't worry, it you know, it'll make sense in 2 minutes. Insert a point here so I can pull this up. Pull this up to here, and then pull that up to there. All right, now I'm going to get out of node editing mode, and I'm going to get rid of all the vectors in between those two lines. Select and delete. Select and delete. Select and delete. And then I'm going to join with a smooth curve on this end and that end. And that's going to kind of replace that. So it'll be kind of a solid instead of those little in there. That, again, it is what it is. All right. So now, again, A is need to get the A done. And so now I can come in and I can kind of connect things together. So trim with the scissors. First of all, yep, convert to curves. Okay. Trim with the scissors. Line's going to come in, connects here. Let me just This line is not going to be part of the drawing. I don't want to delete it. I want you to kind of see what, with and without. I don't want to delete that. So, but I want it to be I want it to be clear in here what you know what I'm trimming and stuff. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I will put it back in just a minute, but I want you to see what's happening here. So with the scissors, we are basically going to connect this here. The line is kind of going behind the A, if you will. And then here, we're going to have it go in front of there. And in order for that to happen, I need it's not gonna, yeah, it's gonna go behind. Let me see here. Hold on a second. I need another vector. A is going to get raised. The line is going to get raised. Yeah, we'll have it where it looks like it goes behind for now. If I determine, I'll let them make the decision what they want. If they want it to look like it's going in front of the A, then all I have to do is create an offset and trim it so that it looks like the line is in front of the A. I almost kind of, we'll just do it like that for right now. All right, let's put this back. Okay. Now, again, this vector is not getting used, but I don't want to take it out because I want to kind of show you what that was versus what it's going to be now. All right, let's go ahead and go back and select everything. Again, I have not done any trimming on the pole yet, on the pole and the border down here. I haven't done any of that. Let's go back into the tool path here. Calculate that. Still says I have overlap lines. That's because the fishing pole and the border at the bottom. I'm going to continue anyway. I know this. I know that. And everything. All right. We can see our A is back, right? So let's reset the preview. Preview the visible. Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold on. No. Got to deselect. All that trimming that I just did, I got to deselect that, and that. There we go. Now let's calculate. Okay. Now let's calculate. I got to sit up taller in my chair. That way I'm hiding behind my name where it says Lady Shawnee was cutting my head off. Okay. So once again, preview the Toolpath. Pinned comment, can't see. Y'all still have a pinned comment somewhere? Hold on a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Bryn from 2117. Bryn, is there still a pinned comment that no, I don't see a pinned comment. Let me look back up. Bryn, let me know if that pinned comment has gone away for you. or not. You should all be seeing. I'm hoping you're seeing what I'm seeing on the screen. Let's get this on here. All right, so on here, I need a little bit of definition there to kind of for the pole where it goes into the border there. Got to fix that. And let's probably will put a little detail in the lure, right? And you know, the black line, that little thin line in the middle was kind of defining, you know, the thin line and all, but I want the fishing line to be here. The only thing that throws it off from what I can see is the width of the line, the width of the offset, which I can fix that very easily. The offset is too fat. You know what I mean? And so it's making that line that's going through look real bulky. Simple enough on that to do a smaller offset to create a thinner, you know, that thinner line in there and stuff. But maybe a little detail in the lure, you know, little fish detail or something or whatever, a little eyeball or whatever would probably look better. I think they'll call me out on that. I think they'll say, yeah, let's do a little detail in there or something. But I need to finish off that line down here. So I think a little bit smaller offset here on this to bring that in just a little bit, just to give a little bit of narrowness will be good. I'm okay with the way it on the A and everything. I'll let them decide what they want to do with that. I'm not going to change anything there. But that is... That's it. So let's go fix that real quick, and then let's tile and let's wrap it up, right, in the next 20 minutes here. All right, so on the fish, I'm not the greatest drawer in the world, but let's, somewhere in this vicinity, I'll just kind of use this. Rotate. We will do let's go to node editing. Close this tool. Node editing. All right, now I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to just kind of freehand this. Okay. I'm going to have a copy the vector, that little shape along the lines. Let's see here. We'll just do let's get it to go a little bit bigger on the spacing, 0.06. Probably could have drawn my lines better, but let's see what that looks like. I'm not the greatest at that. I could have went the other way with my little scales. They went the other way. They're backwards. My fish has got scales facing the wrong way. I'm just going to go 2 rows instead of 3, but let me rotate this bad boy around. Okay, let's do that one more time. Select the object, hold down the shift key, select that, copy along. We're going to not align to the curve. We'll go 0.06. There we go. Turn that object off, turn this object on, copy. And then we can delete that one, the original. All right, so we'll leave that kind of like that. We'll see what that does. I think it should flow the body. It doesn't flow with the body very well. I should probably pay attention to what it's doing, but it should flow more of a curve up and down, more of a curve up or down. So anyway, we'll play with that. But now the most important thing, is on here, this line that goes all the way around. This is the offset, right? My A is connected to it, right? So I need to node edit, and I need to cut the vector right here on the A. And here on this offset coming inward and everything, my A is connected to it as well. So I need to cut the vector here on that A and here. Okay. Because those lines are about to get deleted. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get rid of this, and I got this right here. I need to cut the vector. Zoom in. Oops. Cutting the vector is separating, that, so I can come in here and delete this offset. This is the offset I created. That's the offset, that 0.1 offset all the way around, right? And it made everything just too big. Okay, so going right back to here. Now, the big difference is, let me get rid of this one too. All right, so this is kind of the original. This is the string line and all. And the thing of it is, hey, I want a thin line. Why not use the original line here, right? I've already cut it from here. So really, all I need is just the offset around the fish, so it carves proper. I need that extra offset around the fish. So I'm going to have to trim my A with this. So I need to put the A back together, right? So extend, this is where the extend tool comes in. I want to extend this line to that line to put that corner back on the A. And I want to extend this line over to this line, okay? Kind of connect it back. Now right here, if I'm going to do that, then here, node editing, I need to cut the vector here and here on this corner and on this corner. Get rid of these two Humpty Dumps, those lines right there, those curves. That was the offsets from before. Don't want that. So again, I'm going to use the extend tool to extend this line to here, and the extend tool to extend this line to here. But I can't really extend right now, because if we zoomed in really, 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 really close, there is a little bitty notch on this line that is, unless that's a visual, unless that's a glitch in my eyes. Looks like there's a little notch right there, but there's not. There's not. There's no notch there. Okay, those lines are not joining together. So what I'm going to do is select this, join with a straight line, select this, join with a straight line. Okay, so got the A back. So all I need to do is select this, offset it. I'm still going to need to create the offset in here. Now that's going to be important. Or actually, no, I won't. Let me stop talking on my butt. Offset outward, and we're going to go just a small amount. Perfect. Okay, now hang with me for a second. That offset is necessary so that my scales and everything on the fish carve proper. Okay. Without it, let me show you what happens without it. Okay. So again, if I selected all of this and I turn off that offset and I calculate this toolpath, let me just do this. Turn off that offset on the fish. If I calculate this toolpath, again, we're overlapping the border down below. That's where my problems are. And I still have 4 open vectors. I got to close those. Let me hit cancel real quick. Select all open vectors. It's just the A. I need to go into the join tool and join them up. Okay. When I have a vector that says it's open, right? I got one open vector. It's not closed, even though it looks closed. The quickest and simplest way to find that, there's an overlap in this situation, right? That's what the problem is. It's an overlap. The quickest and simplest way to find the overlap is it's always going to be near the green start point. So go to node editing, find the green node, zoom in, and you'll see that the line right here, if I move this off the green node, that's that overlap, right? And so technically the overlap is actually this line right here, right? So that's my green node. My green node, the start point and the end point, they didn't line up together. So all I'm going to do is pull this back here and line that up with that. And then let's go back here, go to the join tool, and it should be closed, right? Okay. So the green node always represents the start point. The black node after it, all the way around, represents the end point. If we have one open vector, that means that the start point and the end point are either gapped or they're overlapped or something along there. It's at the green node. So always look for your green node in node editing, and you'll be able to find your issues quickly. Okay, so A is cleaned up. Let me show you. Let's go back to what I was doing really quickly. Turn this off, this offset. And let me show you what that would look like without that offset around it, right? So there's still 2 open vectors. That's the 2 where the scales are, the 2 lines in the little fish right there. They're being ignored. But watch this. When I reset this and preview this, the fish is going to be reversed from what it should be. Okay, it's going to be inverted instead of, everything that was once carved down is going to be raised up, and everything that's raised up is going to be carved down because that offset is not there, right? So as we go through and we preview this and everything, when we come in, the fish here and all is reversed. The scales are raised up, and the body and gill and all that stuff is carved down when it should be the other way. Okay. And my little detail in the little lure there, Doesn't look too bad, but it's not too great either. I'll spend some time on that one. But that fish there is inverted, right? So everything else looks great. The single line, perfect choice, all that stuff looks wonderful, much thinner, better looking, improved, but the fish is backwards. So I need that extra line, that offset. Let's go back in. Now, in order to use the offset, my little fishing line has to be on the outside. They can't cross each other, right? So here's a quick and easy way that I could fix that. Number one is I could go select this, go into node editing mode, right? Grab the two nodes and just pull them ever so slightly past the line, right? Quick and easy. Do that in all the locations. Just get them to where they're, not interfering with that body. Now, the other way I could do this is I could have taken that offset that I created and simply created another offset, and with the scissors I can come in, get rid of all of that and that, and do it that way as well, right? So it's easier node editing and then trying to trim, and create that offset and everything. So the quick and simple way is go to node editing, select the two nodes, and just kind of drag them back like that. Here, node editing, just drag them back just so they're not overlapping that offset. They got to be away from that offset. That can go away. Okay, so no overlap, no overlap, no overlap. That's good. Again, my fish is, it'll be fine for now. Now let's deal with the fishing rod here. Okay, the fishing rod and all is, it's fine for the most part, carving, it's carving in here and everything, but there's no real definition on the pole here that there's something there. So here's how I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to come in here and we're going to, this vector here is going to be the boundary, but I'm going to offset it first. So I'm going to offset outward a super small amount, literally like 10 or 20 thousandths of an inch. Offset outward, 20 thousandths of an inch. That's going to be my trim boundary. Now I'm going to select this vector here, and I could use just so you know, I could use the trim tool right here, and I could tell it to clear everything in the boundary. Like if I selected that border and I selected that boundary and I said clear everything inside the boundary, it would redraw that boundary, but it's going to redraw it around the pole kind of backwards. A little different. It redrew it kind of not the way that I wanted to draw it. I just wanted to redraw it right here. So instead of using the trim tool, we're simply going to take our scissors. We made this new offset. We're going to trim it here. Trim the straight line away so it can, now that line is connected going around. Get rid of the straight line going all the way across. Get rid of the straight line going all the way across. Straight line, get rid of that. Oh, not that one. Don't get rid of that one on that end. All right, now here, oh, don't get rid of that. Zoom in right there. So now my border travels around and back up here. Okay. So now with that, I should be able to calculate this toolpath. Again, the scales on my little fish are not the greatest, but You get the idea. Now, it still says I have overlaps and intersections. This time I'm going to go to the vector validator. And I want to see where those are. And they're on my A, right? That's the majority of them. And then I have those 2 lines I need to delete. So simple enough. Those lines that represented, what my scales copied along, they don't need to be in there. That needs to be better. We know that. But I got to finish. I got to trim my A. Okay. Now, we're simply going to just do what we had before. So the A is going to come around and it's going to connect as if the A is over the fishing line. And it's going to come through, connect there. Again, the A is standing on top of the line. Okay. All right. That should correct everything. If I wanted to validate that one more time, vector validator, we're 10:01. We got to wrap it up. VCarve mode, I should have I got a 0 length span. 0 length span is just means that there's 2 nodes that are on top of each other with no line, arc, or curve in between them. So I'm going to fix that by clicking the button that says fix it. All right, so no problems. Now we're going to calculate the toolpath again. I really think this would look great with a texture in the background, but it's just too much of a customer didn't want to pay for. All right, preview all the toolpaths. Now you'll see the fish, the red fish, will have the the scales will be carved in and all of that stuff, and the body will be up. Okay, so now we have the right detail. Again, looks like crap on the little lure, but we'll deal with that. Now we have that nice little defining line, so we can see the rod definition right here, where it kind of goes over the border, and all is right with the world. Okay, so now toolpath. All the toolpaths are created right here. Tile manager. Open up the tile manager. On the tile manager, I am feeding through. I'm tiling my toolpaths. Make sure that's checked. That turns it on. I am feeding through my x-axis. This is 2440. I'm feeding through my x-axis. My tiles. Now, my board by default is 72 inches, so that's the number that it fills in that box, 72, right? One tile, right? Well, I need it to break up and everything because my cutting area, remember, 34 would be my maximum. Now, 34 and 34 is 68, which means it'll be a little bit, at the end. I can decide if I want to break up my board into 3 even sections, 2 1/4 sections, whatever. We can, come in here and throw in the numbers. I'm going to basically, we'll go on the, we're going to go, let's go 30 inches, update the tiles. Let's go to the 2D view so you can actually see what's transpiring here. All right, so you see these lines that pop up on the screen right here. Okay. Let's go. Now, don't sit there and try to sometimes you can get your tiles to fall in between letters and in between carvings and all that stuff and everything. And sometimes, people worry, I'll fall in between these 2 letters, right? I'll set my tiles or the size where they fall in the 2 letters and all that stuff. That way I don't have to worry about if I'm off on my setup. That's the wrong way of thinking. If I'm off on my setup, everything will be okay if I just don't fall in the lines. No. Don't be off on your setup. Spend that time on getting your setup right, right? So If you, in some cases, if there's room and big old gaps and stuff, and you can get your tiles to fall right in between, where things are getting carved, wonderful and great. But if it's not, don't sit there and try to, maneuver everything. What I was doing is I went from 30 to 28 to 26 is I'm just trying to get my boards, my tiles kind of like even sections size wise, right? So when this little section carves and I slide the board down, I don't have a lot of hanging off the front of the machine. It carves the next section. When I slide down, now I have a majority of the board hanging off the machine. And in that third section, I want a good chunk of meat there for clamping and all that stuff. So I didn't want a little sliver of this board at my 2-inch part of the ruler. And I'm trying to clamp this little bit while the rest of it's hanging off the front of my machine. I'm just trying to create even size tiles, right? So for me, 26 looks good. And they're not like completely even, but it's good enough. It's a big piece here. I got plenty of room for clamps and things like that, right? So 26 is a good number. If I sat here and tried to get my divider line to fall in between one line or one letter or another, oh my God, you can get so tedious with it and everything. If your setup's right, you got nothing to worry about. Now, overlap, tile overlap. This is a margin of error, right? You're giving yourself a margin of error. You can get, let me zoom in here, okay, on this line. You can give yourself, if you're worried about your setup, you can give yourself a margin of error. Let's say I give myself a 16th inch margin of error. What that does is you see this little pink highlight that came up here and everything. When it's carving tile 1, it's going to carve into this kind of pink area. It's going to carve over that margin of error, right? So that when I slide the board down and everything, if I'm slightly off on my mark, when I measured and marked the board every 26 inches, if I'm slightly off or something like that, when I carve tile 2, it's going to go back into, when I'm carving tile 2, it's going to go back into this area here. And this area is already been kind of carved, and it's going to help. It'll help create it like a seamless carving and stuff. It'll still create a seamless carving if you don't use a margin of error, but literally the tile overlap is a margin of error. Now, if we were to go to the help menu, and I've got to share, I got to change my sharing method. Give me just a second. Replace the sharing screen. If I pull this document over here and we go down and we look at the tile manager, right? So when we're here and everything for your individual tiles feeding through the X and Y and all, let's get back up here. Let's see. Give me just a second. It's not real obvious where it is. Okay, let's see here. Check the Toolpath list. Somewhere, tile options, this, once cut. The process of tiles at the stage. Once you calculate the pane tiling options, individual tiles. Give me just a second. The general prefer if you have independent. Wow. Overhang. Right here. Let's see. I think it says here. With this option selected, you're asked to specify the width and the height of each tile and the required overlap, which will be applied in each direction. Tiles are created at the bottom left model. The overlap for individual tiles is particularly important for 2.5D views that utilize the shape. Such as V-bit carving, bear with me, will need to overrun the edges of your tile in order to complete their cuts using the side of the bit. For this reason, the overlap distance is independent. Okay, here, let me read it out loud to you instead of to myself. Tiles are created from the bottom left of your model. Okay, bottom left of the model. The bottom left corner. And it's from every bottom left corner for every tile. So every bottom left corner. The overlap for independent tiles is particularly important for 2.5D toolpaths that utilize the shape of your tool bits, such as V-bit carving, V carving. 2.5D toolpaths will require to overrun the edges of your tile in order to complete their cuts using the side of the bit. So the V-bit, that angled bit and everything, where it's important that, you know, that a V curve and everything happens and stuff, it will come in and it'll go past the tile. Instead of here, it goes past the tile by the overlap distance, so that it's utilizing both sides of the bit. And then it'll overrun the edges on your tile in order to complete their cuts using the side of the bit. For this reason, the overlap distance for independent tiles will typically indicate to be at least equal to the radius of your tool bit. Not diameter, but the radius, right? So on individual tiles, because you're not, on this case, we're only feeding through, but it's important that if we were doing individual tiles, meaning that we're doing, let's say 1, 2 here and then 2 up here, and we're breaking individual tiles out, that bit has to be able to cut whatever's on those dividing lines and everything. So the overlap distance and everything for those, for the independent tiles, what they're talking about, and I'll show you what the independent tiles looks like. That bit has to be able to go over that line. It has to go over that tile to create the, you know, that carving and everything. And so at least by the radius of the bit, not the diameter, the radius of the bit. Now, that's individual tiles. Let's go back to Vectric and look at that just for a second. On the individual tiles, imagine if I have a big board, 48 by 48 sign, and I only have a 24 by 40 inch cutting area. I've got to split this panel in half. And I got to carve a 24-inch panel, 48 inches, you know, long, and I got to carve another 24-inch panel, 48 inches long. And let's say I'm breaking up this into 4 sections. My bit has to be able to overlap. It has to be able to overlap by the radius of the bit, so it like creates that seamless carving on this board that we're literally breaking up into 4 sections, right? But when it comes to feed through, the tile overlap is a margin of error, and there is, I don't think it's gonna, sorry, hold on, let me go back. I don't think it's gonna say it in here. It might say it. Let me read here. We can do a single strip. We can move through. We can feed through the X or the Y depending on the CNC machine. It's assumed to be correct at side links. Right here. Right here. Similarly, the overlap distance is only applied in the direction of the draw through, right? So it's only on that one side of each tile. Because you typically will be cutting in the same piece of material for each toolpath, the overlap distance for feed through is not as critical as it is for individual tiles, and is typically used to allow for a margin of error in your setup accuracy. Okay, so overlap is important when you're feeding through individual tiles, when you're doing individual tiles and everything. But when you're feeding through your X like we're doing, it's a margin of error. And again, on your setup accuracy, right? If you're accurate on your setup, you don't need a big overlap or anything like that. I do not do tile overlaps or tile overlaps. I don't use a tile overlap. But if I did, it would not be any bigger than a 16th of an inch. I should not be off on my setup on my accuracy by that much, you know, God forbid. But it's just a margin error. If you need it, put it in there, right? And that's what it is. But individual tiles, it's important that there actually is a tile overlap by the radius of your bit. Instructions are in the help menu, help contents for all your different tools and stuff, and it plays a big role when you can read and understand and know what each of the things are and stuff. And I knew margin of error because that's what it says, just finding it in the instructions, right? It took a moment. All right, so we're feeding through the X 26-inch tiles. I'm not going to do a tile overlap. So our tile is going to be broken up, our board is going to be broken up into 3 sections. And so if I'm previewing this, let's go to the preview. Reset the preview here. Preview all the toolpaths. You're going to see tile 1 is all that gets carved, right? So I run the 1/2 inch bit, the 1/4 inch bit, the 1/8 inch bit, and the V bit for tile 1, T1, all the T1s. When that is finished, unclamp the board, slide it down 26 inches. I'll have the board measured every 26 inches. Accurate measurement, 26 inches, every 26 inches. I'll slide it down and put that 26-inch mark on the 2-inch mark of my ruler. Tighten right, get it clamped down and everything. And then we'll run the 1/2 inch end mill, 1/4 inch end mill, 1/8 inch end mill on the V bit for tile 2. So it'll run all of tile 2 and everything. Slide the board down. Now I'm really hanging off the front of the machine by 2/3 of my board, basically. So I've got roller stands. Love them from Harbor Freight. Ain't got nothing wrong with a Harbor Freight tool at all. Roller stands to support and everything. Make it level with the top of the CNC so it's nice and level and all that stuff. Make sure your roller stand heights are right so the board's not tilted up or anything like that. And if you, depending on the weight and all that stuff, if you need more than one, they're not too expensive. But it could be sawhorses, it could be a stack of books. Whatever it takes to make sure that you have a nice support system outside what's hanging off, right? Very important. Reclamp it. Again, we're moving it down that additional 26 inches to the number 2 mark on the ruler, reclamping it, and then tile 3 is going to get run. And with tile 3 carving, oops, hold on, I switched right back to tile 1. Sorry about that. Let me get tile 2 done here. Tile 2. And tile 3. Okay, so run all again, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, V bit, all of tile 3. Now, the great thing about the tiling toolpaths and everything is let's preview all for that. The great thing about the tile toolpath is when we save the toolpath and we give it a generic name, it's going to put all the T1s and T2s and T3s. It's going to label them in that name. So let's go save the toolpath, and we're going to wrap this up. Here we go. Save toolpath. Make sure that we have, I got to go down. I don't have my post-process set up. I just got this computer set up, but not the Vectric software. So give me a minute. Digital wood carver, helical arcs inch. Okay. Visible toolpaths to multiple files, group where possible. There's not going to be any groups here because I use a quarter, half inch, quarter, eighth, and V-bit. There's none of them the same, but still, that's my default choices. Output tile toolpaths will automatically check itself because your tool manager, your tile manager is open. Tile manager needs to remain open while you're saving your toolpaths. Okay, so that way it knows to output those tile toolpaths. All right, so we're going to hit save toolpath. And we'll go to in my downloads folder. We're going to go in here and create a new folder. Crystal River. All right. Now, Crystal River charter 72 by 22 by 0.75. Okay, that's my generic name. Okay, Crystal River Charter 72 22.75 generic name. When I hit save, it's going to add all the additional information here at the end of the file name, along with the T1 and the T2 and the T3. So if we go back and look into that folder, you're going to see, let's pull this out, T1s, all the T1s for the half inch end mill, quarter inch, eighth inch, and the V-bit, all the T2s, and all the T3s. Okay, so they're all going to be there in that tile 1. You run all of them first, all the toolpaths. Tile 2, all the T2s and all the T3s. Okay, in that order. So it puts it there, it labels them, all that stuff. Wonderful. It's all nice and organized and ready to go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, most of this was on the most of this, let me hide this real quick, was on the, you saw the design and everything, but the tiling is the simple part. It's you create your design, create your toolpaths, the whole thing, and then you open your tile manager up, you set your tiles, have the tile manager open. When you save your toolpaths, and it'll put in the toolpaths with the T1, T2, T3, whatever the days, however many tiles you have. You could have 2 tiles, 3 tiles, 6 tiles, whatever it would be. Depending on your machine and everything, you if you're doing pass-through or feed-through versus individual tiles, you're either feeding through your X-axis or your Y-axis, depending on the configuration of your CNC machine. Okay, and so let's go back in here, and that is that. I don't know if we're painting the sign black. I think there's a different color they're going to be using and all, but it is going to get painted. And so my last bit of setup on this is we're going to have some aura mask on it. It's a lot of aura mask, but it's going to save a lot of having the sand and all that stuff. All right. Let's see. Let me go back now. Let's back up a little bit to questions real quick. Let's see. Friend, did I hope you were able to see that and everything. Where are you entering those dimensions? Charlie Hall asked. So that's a great question. Where are you entering those dimensions, right? And so the in the tile manager, let me make sure it's on the middle of the screen right here. When you click on Tile Toolpath and you choose if you're doing individual tiles, feed through X or feed through Y, in my case, I'm feeding through the X. This is where I'm putting in the dimension of the tile width. Okay. The tile width in my choice, my board is 72 inches long. My cutting area, I could literally create a tile up to 34 inches based on all that discussion that we talked about at the beginning of this video. But I don't want to have a majority of my board hanging off the front of the CNC and only have a small little sliver of a tile, to try to clamp and support and all that stuff and kind of unbalanced, if you will. From my 2-inch mark on my ruler. So I set my tile sizes to where the board was somewhat divided evenly, if you will. It wasn't really evenly. Tile 3 was still smaller than 1 and 2. But I set the tiles for 26 inches. So I'm going to measure my entire board, 72 inches, and every 26 inches, I'm going to make a mark. And I'm going to measure 26 inches and make a mark. I'm going to measure 26 inches and make a mark. That kind of thing, right? Every 26 inches. And first edge of the board goes up on the 2-inch mark on my ruler, clamp down, tile 1 gets carved. When it's finished, that 26-inch mark slides over to the 2-inch mark on my ruler, gets clamped down, and tile 2 gets carved. When that's finished, that next 26-inch mark gets slid down to the 2-inch mark on the ruler, tile 3 gets carved. The 2-inch mark on my ruler is my datum 0, right? My XY 0. That's where the bit is split. That's the starting point. So the 26-inch mark, that's where it's starting from. So it's very important. I'm not just willy-nilly, measuring and marking crooked lines and all that. I want my mark to be nice and straight. So when I slide that board down, there is no confusion if I'm over this far too much or over this far too much, and everything. I want to be dead nuts on that 2-inch mark on my ruler with my line. And my line is 26 inches. Okay, my tile. If I'm worried that I'm not going to be that perfect in the setup, then I could add in a margin of error, a tile overlap, 1/16 of an inch or whatever. I wouldn't go any bigger than 16, but you could have a 2-inch tile overlap, right? Whatever you want. Don't do that. But anyhow, so if you're worried about your setup, give yourself a margin of error, do a tile overlap, right? And regardless, it's going to be a seamless carving right through. So Charlie, did that answer your question? As far as where you're entering the dimensions. The dimensions are getting entered in the tile manager here for as far as what my tiles are. Now, as far as other dimensions and everything, I mean, my job setup, 72 by 22 by 3/4. I think that's the only dimension. I think that answers your question, Charlie. Yes, cool, awesome. All right, so now the next question after Charlie's was, Lainey, how long will it take to carve this? I love Ronnie. Ronnie always asks that question, and it's great. I always look forward to that question. All right, so based on my 2440, right, has a rapid of 150, has a scale factor of 1.3, and the bit settings and everything on this particular job, based on the bit settings that I have for the 1/2-inch end mill, the 1/4-inch end mill, the 1/8-inch end mill, and the 60-degree V bit, it's going to be a total hours. And again, it's a raised tech. So all of that stuff is getting milled down 3/16 of an inch deep with all the detail and everything. So we're looking at about 6 hours and 24 minutes in total. The entire sign estimated. That's estimated. And we're looking at the largest part of the longest time is the 1/2 inch bit because it's doing a majority of the work. It's doing all the flat work and all the major clearing and everything, and it's about a 4-hour run just on that 1/2 inch bit. Then it's a 43-minute run for the 1/4 inch bit, a 41-minute run for the 1/8 inch bit, and about an hour estimated for the 60-degree V bit. Now that's over the whole sign. As far as per section, divided by 3, right? So, what is that? 6 hours divided by 3 is 2 hours a tile? 2 hours over each tile, kind of thing, to run all the bits and stuff like that, estimated. All right, so now, when you originally started using the Toolpath Tiling Manager, wasn't showing up. It is now. Oh. Damn. Okay, I know why. Thank you, Edwin, for explaining that to me. It's because I was sharing the window, not the screen. So when I chose the Aspire window, any pop-up windows like the Tile Manager would not show. But now that I'm showing the entire screen, the Tile Manager showed up. That's important for me to know in the future. I'll remember that for the next class. This is the Tile Manager, ladies and gentlemen. This is everything that I've been talking about as far as the numbers and stuff, and my apologies. So that's what Bryn might have been mentioning when she said can't see it. Bryn might have mentioned that when she said can't see it. That might have been what she meant. Okay, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now you should be able to see it because I'm sharing the window, the screen. Right? Okay, so really quickly, this is the Tile Manager. You check Tile Toolpath when you're wanting to activate the Tile Manager. You have a choice when you're tiling to do individual tiles or to feed through your X or feed through your Y. Now, individual tiles means that my entire project, X and Y, is larger than my cutting area, okay? When you're doing individual tiles, it means that your X and Y are larger than your cutting area. So if I have a 24 by 40 CNC, and I'm doing a 48-inch by 48-inch sign as an example, then I'm going to need to cut that sign in half and do one 24 by 48-inch panel. It's going to break it up into 2 sections, right? 2 tile 1 and tile 2 for that bottom half, right? And then the second 24-inch panel is going to get, it's 2 tiles. And so there's technically 4 tiles, right? 1/2 of the board, that 48-inch by 48-inch, 1/2 of it, 24 by 48, is getting broken into 2 sections, 2 tiles. And the other half is getting broken into 2 tiles. So it's individual tiles. So I need if I was doing individual tiles, I would be saying that my tile width on my X would be, let's say every 26 inches. And then my tile width on my Y, let's say I was doing that every 11 inches, right? So now, in that case, what you would see in the Tile Manager is, with this yellow line, is it's breaking the tiles up into 2 halves, right? The board up into 2 halves kind of situation, right? That's individual tiles. And what it was explaining with the manual, when we were looking at the manual, is if I am doing individual tiles, when my router bit is cutting, let's say tile 1 here, and and it's doing tile 1, there's going to be some areas of the design that the bit has to finish its cut, right? The bit, we can't have just half the bit stopping on the line. We got to get the bit radius. So we need to be able to overlap into tile 2 by at least the radius of the router bit. That's what it was explaining in those instructions and everything. We got to be able to at least to get over into that, by at least half the bit, right? So you would set your tile overlap by the radius of the bit. But when you're feeding your tiles through on the x-axis and you're cutting in the same direction, the overlap isn't as critical, and it's used more for a margin of error to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room when you're sliding and resetting your board if you're worried about your setup, right? So that's what that information in the rules were saying. And so overlap is a margin of error when you're feeding through X or Y, but it's critical to make sure your bit crosses over a tile by at least half the bit when you're doing individual tiles, right? So you would use the tile overlap. It would be set technically to the radius of your bit, at least at a minimum. So that's what that's playing around. So when we are viewing tiles, like when we're viewing the toolpaths, we can view tile 1, all the toolpaths, tile 2, all the toolpaths, and tile 3. But this tile manager has to stay open when you go to save your toolpaths. When you go to save your toolpaths, the tool manager has to be open so it knows to output tile toolpaths, so it knows to check those. Okay? All right, so that is your tile manager. And to find that tile manager, the icon is from the bottom row, the third icon from the left, tile toolpaths. And you use it after you've created all your design and you created all your toolpaths. Right before you save them, you open up the tile manager and set your tiles up, right? What it's going to break it up into. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, listen, this is basically kind of the tiling and everything. And I'm going to hammer this home as I say goodbye. Spend time on getting your setup tight and right. Your setup, right? Stay consistent with your setup from one tile job to another. Stay consistent in your setup. Find that setup that works for you. For me, it's my Swanson ruler. Love it. $9.98 at Lowe's, whatever. But that's my fence, right? That's what my board references again as it slides in and all that stuff. Anyway, get your setup right. Get everything nice and set up. Stay consistent with it. And tiling will become second nature to you. It'll be a piece of cake. You'll have successful tiles and outcomes and everything. You won't have to, you won't have anything to worry about and all that stuff. So I really, really, if you've ever had the desire to carve something large, big porch signs for the holidays and stuff like that, like welcome signs or, let freedom ring or 4th of July or Merry Christmas, whatever, right? Those big porch signs, right? That lean up against, like if we're on front porches and all, they lean up next to the doors, at the entry and all. Have you ever seen those? Those growth rulers, in kids' bedrooms, the rulers that measure themselves, those long 6-foot rulers and all. If you've got a small CNC and everything, you got to tile that job. And tiling is really straightforward, pretty simple. If you have a good setup, you'll have successful results. All right, everybody. Listen, I really enjoyed this. I really like this new platform. I know now that if I share a window, that I got to make sure that I'm aware of that other windows won't show. Thanks for that pointing out. I will next week, we will have the higher resolution set. So all the blurry and fuzziness, if there is any, won't happen. And we made it through a class, 2 hours and 39 minutes long again, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Y'all have a wonderful night. Take it easy. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 8 o'clock. And Spindle TV subscribers, we'll see you Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And everybody else, we'll see you Thursday at 8. Y'all have a great night. And we'll see you soon.